Yo nerds, what's up? It's your boy Parzival here, and I am back today doing another reaction. Today I'm going to do something a little different. Normally my reactions are to trailers from movies or even video games, but today's going to be something a little different. One probably my favorite WoW YouTuber um, is a husband and wife combo called Taliesin and Evitel. Their videos, I mean, to me they're just perfect because they cover everything that you want from a video, right? It's funny, it's entertaining. The skits they come up with in the beginning of their videos are just top notch. They cover all WoW news. They cover both classic, when there's something going on there. They cover retail. They've been covering PTR and beta for Shadowlands. They really give you everything that you could want out of a video. You laugh, you have a good time, you get the information you want, and it's not a 45-minute video that maybe another YouTuber does and you fall asleep in the middle of. But they're by far my favorite channel to go to for all WoW news. I always look forward to the weekly reset. I always look forward to Taliesin Talks videos. By the way, Tally, the video you did, I think it was a couple weeks ago with you and your brother, was hilarious. And I would love for you guys to start doing like a family and friends video, even if it's just once a month. I think that video was just amazing. But anyways, guys, this is the current weekly reset that we're going to watch here. It's about 25 minutes long. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see from the title up here, but it says, "Why players want Shadowlands delayed and Blizzard kills loot for everyone." Hot topic, loot, the way Blizzard has gone through this change. I'll pause it when we get to that part and kind of give my opinion on the whole thing. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hit play and make sure the volume's good. Yeah, I think the volume's pretty good. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and check this out. I'm going to hit the play button and we're going to see what Tally and Evitel have in store for us. This episode is dedicated to the memory of the funny skit at the beginning, who never lived to see this episode. The footage being corrupted on a bad USB. We will never forget how the skit was. Quite funny. Well, it wasn't the worst we've ever done anyway. Oh, there's no skit? Dang. That's unfortunate, but that's alright.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset.
By the way, I love that you guys have a table now. It feels so much more like official. Not that it wasn't before, but I love the setup.
Taliesin Nevitel's Wondrous Wisdom Show. In a week where we have seen the Shadowlands 9.0 pre-patch release candidate build hit the PTR servers, meaning that surely the pre-patch to that Shadowlands expansion I was just talking about must finally be within touching distance. Absolutely for reals for sure though, and we are officially okay to start getting super hype about it. And also the week that Blizz reverted their 9.0 pre-patch release candidate to a non-release candidate again. Blizz giveth hype, and Blizz taketh hype away. And prompting the community to wonder, A, what actually just happened, and B, does this mean that the pre-patch is being postponed from a date that we don't know about to a slightly later date that we don't know about? And even bigger than that, does this mean that Shadowlands itself, as in the whole expansion, is being postponed beyond its October the 27th release date? The answer to those questions being maybe, but how would we even know, and probably not no. The standard routine is that Blizzard will announce the pre-patch for a new expansion 2 weeks before.
I think it's too late for Blizzard to postpone the expansion. I really do. I think you have less than just under a month now away from the release. I can see them postponing pre-patch up until literally the 2 weeks before expansion release. But at this point, I think it's too late for them to postpone the expansion.
Before it launches, to give everyone the time that they need to do the things that they need to do, like finish off time-limited achievements, get their PvP rankings sorted, buy their Longboy, that sort of thing. Before the pre-patch hits, around a month before the expansion arrives proper, giving everyone plenty of time with that to get knee-deep into all the fun new base game stuff. Things like class changes. In this case, you've got all the new customization options to play with, not
Looking
to
forward to that.
mention the new level squish and chromie time leveling experience.
That's going to be really cool.
And it was with this established pattern in mind that many of us assumed that the big pre-patch day would end up being the 29th of September, it being a month before the Shadowlands launch, and
which is
also
tomorrow.
Conveniently the week after Blizzard's series of Afterlives animations concluded. And yes, that PC Gamer magazine cover,
by the way, the Afterlife videos,
high-fidelity CGI rendering of the jailer, does seem to confirm that we may have an old soldier-style secret cinematic on its way at some point in the secret future. But it's fair to say that the 29th is not looking likely. In fact, it's looking so unlikely that I'm going to do something that I definitely shouldn't do, considering half of you will be watching this after the 29th of September. But I'm going to go ahead and say that pre-patch is not going to be on September the 29th. Really looking forward to the comments section underneath this.
Good call, Tally.
October would now appear to be the prime candidate to look forward to, or honestly, maybe even the 13th. There's no reason why pre-patch has to last an entire month, especially since, as we've mentioned before on this show, there's only ever been 2 weeks worth of questing in the PTR story campaign. Plus, think about it, shorter the pre-patch, the less time people can spend crying about getting ate by zombies every time they enter a major city. So a 3 or 2 week time frame might actually be intended, not just preferable. But it doesn't help that Blizzard keep doing that thing where they tell us to get ready for pre-patch without telling us when it is. Exactly.
Right,
exactly. To have
exactly.
the same sort of vibes as when you say I love you to your partner and they say I really love spending time with you. It's just making everyone a little bit nervous and suspicious. Okay, Blizz, give us a date. And yeah, there are things that, as it stands, don't really appear ready for pre-patch.
Of course, there's an ad.
I see this guy.
Like the new chromie time leveling.
All right, let me pause it for a second. So yeah, Blizz probably 2 or 3 times has kind of teased the pre-patches near. In fact, it was this past week. They did that whole thing where it talked about getting ready for the pre-patch, the end of the PvP season, and a lot of streamers, a lot of people have been thinking that was Blizzard's unofficial 2-week notice, right? So that's why a lot of people are thinking October 6th. But I do agree with Tally that it is possible that pre-patch may not be until the 13th, which would be 2 weeks before the release of the expansion. For no other reason than what I think he's about to go into, which is that there are a lot of things on the beta that still need to be worked on. Covenant systems still need a little bit of tuning. For all intents and purposes, from what I've heard, I'm not on the beta myself, unfortunately. But from everything that I've seen, everything, watching streamers, checking forums, it appears most everybody agrees that the mod just does not seem to be done. Now, I don't know if that's because it's meant to be all the extra things we haven't seen yet or got to experience is a phasing thing. So, like, when the game goes live and we get into the mod, we're only going to be able to do so much until, like, the next patch, and then we're phasing to something else. I don't know. I don't know what Blizzard's plan is for that. But it does seem, at least, that the maw and the covenants right now seem to be the two things that a lot of people feel like still need to be tweaked and polished up and just aren't ready for release. So the notion that pre-patch could be pushed to the 13th does make a lot of sense from Blizzard's standpoint, because it just gives them a little bit more time to get these things where they want it to be, and more importantly, where the player base really wants them to be. And I will say this, Blizzard has done a fantastic job this expansion since I've been playing, I started playing at the very end of BC, right before Wrath of the Lich King came out. This is probably the first time since I've been playing that I feel like Blizzard has truly listened to the player base. They really have taken everything to heart that's been said from their beta testers, from people who've been on the PTR screwing around, messing around with new class changes and things like that. A lot of the changes that have been happening through classes and covenants and things like that has been at the request of the player base. So I have all the faith in the world that Blizzard is going to do everything they can to make sure this expansion really knocks it out of the park.
being weird and clunky to get started on, or sometimes just flat out not really working at all. There's the class changes, and let's be honest, no class changes are ever enough, so they always feel like they're behind and incomplete. And I think even when you take into account the fact that Blizzard's internal builds are famously usually a week or two ahead of what we see on testing realms, I wouldn't be surprised if those are things which continue to see updates and tweaks throughout the pre-patch and right up until release. And let's be honest here, when people say that they're worried about Shadowlands not being ready in time, it's not Chromie time and the new player experience that they're talking about, you know? Like, if I say that I'm worried about my sister's new boyfriend, Robert Durst, it's not because of the massive age difference. It's not even because I don't really have a sister. No, when people fret about the readiness of Shadowlands, it's because of those covenants and covenant abilities. It's because of those conduits and soulbinds and legendaries and the mountain of tuning that needs to happen there. And in fairness to Blizz, there has been a lot of that going on in the last week or so.
Really
Loads
has
of
been.
the most broken Covenant abilities or conduits are getting changes, most of which appear to be pretty okay. That OP subtlety conduit got its damage halved. Monks had a rework on their Bastion ability. The hunt for Night Fae Demon Hunters got a big damage buff and a nice AoE dot and a healing benefit, but it did have to give up that weird teleport bit that no one liked or understood, so sorry. Rogues even finally got a Venthyr ability, which is actually like a real ability that totally works and everything. And okay, so it's still not as awesome as Serrated Bone Spikes, but at least it's better than literally just turning your daggers red for no DPSing.
And for those people who aren't hardcore Mythic Raiders or World First Raiders, it gives your casual player base a second legitimate option. I mean, granted, if you're not one of those World First Raiders, you could pick whatever covenant you want, whichever one you think aesthetically is the most pleasing, whichever ability you have the most fun with, and you could still make it work. But at least now for World First, this ability for rogues may give them a second option.
Increase, which is what it was before. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Taliesin, that isn't really tuning, is it? That's just fixing things that flat out didn't work. And you're not wrong. My point is that it's obviously not the perfection that we all demand yet, but also it is noticeable how much work and effort is being put into this tuning cycle. And that is at the very least heartening. So basically everything is looking good. We can all forget about our worries and cares and instead focus all of our attention on pure, unadulterated Shadowlands hype. Thank goodness for that. Oh wait, hang on. What's this? New information on bonus rolls in Shadowlands from our good friends at Wowhead, link in the description. I wonder what it says. Something brilliant, obviously. Bonus rolls no longer exist. Oh shit. What? No, why? What bullshit, lol. This is a really fished up idea. What the fuck, Blizz? Rip WoW 2002 to 2021. Wait, 2002. Bonus roll was hope, and you killed that hope, Blizzard! Yes, that's correct. A blue post this week confirming that...
Okay, before he gets into what he's saying, here's my opinion on the no bonus roll loot. Blizz has been saying now for a long time that in Shadowlands they want the gear drops to feel more impactful. They want it to not just feel like an upgrade or maybe a side grade. When a piece of loot drops, they want it to feel like it's a substantial upgrade. So that's one of the reasons why there's no longer bonus rolls, though. I think maybe if one bonus roll a week at least, like if they had narrowed it down to that or lowered it down to that, I think it would have been a better option than just removing it altogether. But from their perspective, I understand. I understand why in M+, there's only going to be one piece of loot that drops. I understand why they've lowered the loot drop chance in raids. They kind of want a similar feel to, I think, in Classic WoW, that when that one piece of loot dropped, it was a huge upgrade, and you were super excited for it. And as long as that's the feeling that I think as a player base we get when loot drops, I think eventually... I would say most of us, not all of us, but most of us will get that feeling, and then we'll kind of understand where Blizz is coming from, and it won't be as much of a pain. But I think you're going to have people throughout the entirety of this expansion who are just going to be completely butthurt and upset about the lack of loot drop. Even if it's a huge upgrade, even if it's like DPS defining, or something that's going to make your healing be OP, or it's going to make you super tanky. Like, regardless of that, there are going to be people who are going to hate this. To me, as long as the gear drops feel impactful, like when I loot something As long as I feel like, man, that's a great upgrade, I can look past the no bonus rolls.
There are no bonus rolls in Shadowlands, which is weird because, and I might be wrong about this, okay, but when I read this news, my first reaction wasn't really, oh shit, that was just comedy for the bands. Actually, it was, didn't we already know that? Like, I thought that was already a thing, and I tried to find an interview with Ian or anyone on the dev team saying that, and I couldn't, so I guess I'm wrong, or rather, I guess I'm right, but by accident. But in my head, there were always no bonus rolls in Shadowlands. Maybe it's because Blizzard have made a point of pushing how there will, generally, be less loot overall in Shadowlands, which is mostly, I think, a pretty popular direction, because not only was the amount of gear, the vast majority of which is inevitably useless, utterly exhausting in Battle for Azeroth, but of course, such a huge volume of acquisition.
I mean, think about it. How many of you had bags full of gear that you never actually wore? You kept in your beds thinking, oh, that might be a side grade eventually. Or, stat-wise, that might give me a little bit more haste if I get this other piece. Almost all of us had gear in our bags that we just never equipped and we never used.
Is one of the reasons that the dreaded RNG has to form such a central part of what the gear even is.
Yep.
So, less gear, more deterministic and targetable is one of the supposed ethos of Shadowlands. And with the Great Vault giving players up to 9 items to choose from
huge.
for their weekly chest gear piece, 3 of which will be selected from the loot tables of the raid bosses that you've killed in that week, my tiny little brain had obviously thought, that probably makes sense to lose bonus rolls in that case, yeah. And Blizz obviously agreed with my tiny little brain on that one, so thanks, Blizz. I think. Personally, as you might be able to tell, I'm totally cool with this. I am not going to miss that warm feeling of crushing disappointment when I get gold twice on a boss instead of just once every week. And I think the Great Vault seems like it's going to be a more satisfying system.
Yeah, I agree.
And we were a bit mischievous.
I think it makes up for the fact of us not having bonus rolls anymore.
Because actually, there are just as many people on the forums who seem to feel the same way. Yes, dude, haven't been this happy in ages. Bodacious, probably. Of course, now it would be extra nice to have Master Loot back at this point, but yeah, okay, I get it. That's probably never going to happen, I know. And so, the Shadowlands beta becomes even more complete, just like it does with the last systems update that I want to focus on now.
At Valvoline Instant Oil Change, you see all the work being done by our experts.
Ads, man.
Conduits. And yes, I know, I'm starting to sound like a stuck record on this one, and not a good record either. This isn't like London Calling getting stuck on Train in Vain, where you'd be like, oh, got it, my record's stuck, but it could be worse. It's like the Boston Greatest Hits getting stuck on any song that isn't more than a feeling, and I'm sorry about that, but Conduits remain my single biggest worry about the entire expansion, just like they have from the beginning. And so it's starting to make me a little bit nervous that they are still one of the things that we know the least about. And don't get me wrong, like I said last episode, there are loads about conduits that I love in principle. I love the little Essence style library that you choose them from, and collecting them all in 9.0 is going to be awesome fun for sure. I am totally looking forward to that. My worries have always been, well, that stupid once per reset swap out rule, which can go and eat shit, obviously. And
yeah, the once a week swap of the conduits, I'm not a fan of, because it's clear. You go to Wowhead and you look at the conduit calculator, or the soulbind, excuse me. It's clear that there is one that's more PvE oriented. There's one that's more PvP oriented, and then there's one that's kind of seems like a mishmash of both. And for someone like me, who in Shadowlands is planning on raiding, who's planning on doing PvP both in Battlegrounds and Arena, I want to be able to have the freedom to swap to a Soulbind for when I'm raiding, or Mythic Plus, and then swap to the one that I feel like is going to benefit me the most for Battlegrounds or Arena. And the fact that you don't have that freedom, I think is quite honestly a fairly big failure on Blizzard's part. And so far, to date, they seem very adamant on not getting away from that, not changing that. So I'm hoping they'll eventually change their minds on that and make it to where you could swap between the soulbinds freely. Because that just, to me, that from a gameplay perspective, that just seems more. It adds more value to the Covenant system, to the soulbind system, having that type of freedom. So I'm hoping that they change that. I'm hoping they make it to where we can swap from soulbind to soulbind freely. To me, the restriction doesn't make any sense from a gameplay standpoint, from a player, from their point of view. I don't see the benefit in limiting us from from having to swap it only once a week, and then that's it. You're locked out. It doesn't make any sense to me. Other than that, the soulbind and conduit system. The only other thing that kind of worries me, it's not really a complaint, is that the conduits, in the next patch, you're going to be farming the same ones just at a higher item level. I kind of wish there was maybe a different way of upgrading them instead of just farming the same ones over and over again to upgrade them. And that could still be something that happens in the next month with tuning and stuff like that. So, but really, my only real complaint about the system is the lockout of the soulbinds. If Blizz removes that, I'll be happy.
And those ominous-looking item levels that are attached to them. So basically, any clarification we get about how conduits of different item levels are obtained and how they are upgraded, both within a patch and, importantly, across patches, is something that I'm going to be paying plenty of attention to. So you better believe, Internet, that I was paying close attention to Venari, the Moor vendor, being updated with a few new items this week, including a recipe for a more specific legendary. Oh wow, that's really great. Well done. That's awesome. The spatial realignment apparatus, which we discussed last episode, that adds a socket to gear items, and the manifest Aether Shunt, which adds a conduit that you do not have to your collection, or upgrade an existing conduit by 1 rank. The upgraded conduit will be selected randomly from your lowest rank conduits, which, okay, seems like a way to upgrade conduits, and just because it's currently the only way to upgrade conduits in the beta, it doesn't mean that we should assume it will end up being the sole or even main way of doing so when the game goes live. That's an assumption, but it's a pretty fair assumption, and it's just the kind of nuanced thinking that is the speciality of the forums, where players gathered and recognized this item for what it almost certainly is, a way for characters to catch up on conduits that they don't have or have low ranks of, precisely because they are conduits that probably aren't very important to that character. And praised Blizz for their foresight and imagination in allowing such a passive catch-up method, and in the Moor too, which is a place that really needs... No, it was a shit show, obviously. Oh god, please no. Holy fish, get me out of this nightmare. Please stop making these upgrades. Throw this system out the door. And again, I can see why people are getting edgy about the Manifest Aether Shunt. Firstly, it's like really difficult to say quickly in polite company, and the potential for disaster is cunning stunts level high, like Lady Cotter's punt level high, but mostly because it's easy to have nightmarish visions of your Shadowlands experience basically just boiling down to toiling away in the Moor every day for Stygia to then buy this cunning Aether Shunt to randomly upgrade. It almost feels like all
farming Azerite power all over again.
Multiple times, and that doesn't sound like a very fun way to upgrade conduits, does it? And I know, it's all very well some handsome and charming person on YouTube telling you, well, yeah, it's a catch-up. Not even really a catch-up. More complete the set with the ones that you can't be bothered to go and earn properly mechanic. But it's also true that currently...
Oh, wow, that thing slows you? Yikes.
Way on the beta to get a conduit over item level 155. We know from official blue posts that conduits will drop from a wide range of sources, including dungeons, PvP, raids, reputations, and world quests, and it is a fair assumption that these will have higher or lower item levels depending on the difficulty of the content that you do. That is an assumption though, because right now the special beta cheat vendor you can get them all from has all of them only at 155. You can do a normal dungeon where the loot that drops is item level 158. The conduits that drop will be 155. You can run the same dungeon on mythic difficulty level and get gear which is 183. The conduits that drop are still 155. Right now there aren't any conduits on the Castle Nathria loot table, but if that blue post is correct, and that is a source, then Mythic Denathrius is dropping level 233 gear, and 155 level conduits dropping with that would be a bit weird. And obviously when I say a bit weird, I mean a bit shit. Now obviously, it is almost certain that this is just a case of the different item levels not yet being implemented on the beta yet. I am as close to 100% positive as I can be that Mythic dungeons will drop higher level versions of
Yeah.
conduits than normal dungeons will, and that Mythic Castle Nathria will drop.
I believe an article came out today or yesterday that was posted on Icy Veins that said that the WoW devs said that within the first patch, the highest you can get the conduits leveled up to, I think, is item level 210, which I believe is normal Castle Nathria eye level. I'd have to double check and look, but I'm pretty sure that that's an article that was posted out there earlier today.
Drop higher versions than LFR, but I can't promise you that, because as educated and common sense and obvious as an assumption as that is, it is still an assumption. And although there is less than 1% of my tiny little brain that thinks Lady Cotter's Aether Shunt will be the only way to randomly upgrade your item level 155 conduits, which are the only ones that drop from
I would
any
love to see the
source,
blooper reel of him trying to say that.
I can categorically tell you that it won't be. So I can see why people might see this item and get nervous, is all I'm saying. The good news is that all of these things we've been talking about here is main Shadowlands stuff and doesn't have to be ready for the pre-patch. It's just the leveling and class changes that need sorting for that. I believe in you leveling and class changes.
More upgrade news. Don't worry, we'll have fun stuff in a minute. We found out this week how crafted legendaries are upgraded in Shadowlands. Or at least, we know how they are upgraded in 9.0. There are 4 ranks of legendary you can craft. At item levels 190, 210, 225, and 235. And all you need to craft the legendary at the runesmith is to have looted the memory, essentially the recipe. Your base legendary stampable cloth, leather, mail, or plate item, 2 secondary stat scrolls, and the appropriate amount of soul ash, which is the biggest deal because it's only possible to obtain 100 soul ash a week from Torghast, which means that there's literally no way to craft a rank 4 legendary, which requires 400 soul ash, in less than 4 weeks. That base legendary stampable item is the thing that comes in the 4 different ranks. Different ranks cost different amounts of mats, obviously, or buy it from the auction house. The good news is that you only ever need the difference in soul ash between the 2 ranks. So, for example, if you decide you don't want to wait 4 weeks to dive straight in with a level 4 legendary, you can craft a rank 1 legendary in the first week using 100 soul ash and the secondary stat scrolls and the base item, whether you crafted it or bought it, and assuming you have looted the appropriate legendary memory. But then the cost of upgrading from rank 1 to, say, rank 4 later is only 300 soul ash. So it hasn't cost you any of the capped time-limited material to do that. And you can still get your rank 4 legendary in week 4, even if you also craft it at level.
I like the idea of possibly waiting. My issue is the raid comes out 2 weeks after expansion launch. So realistically, this is what you're looking at, is having the 200 soul ash on top of all the other mats you'll need, so that by that first day of raid, you have a rank 2 legendary. I don't see anybody waiting 4 weeks. Now, okay, let me rephrase that. I don't see any casual raider waiting 4 weeks. Now, your world first hardcore mythic raiders, I guess it depends how quickly Mythic opens up. If Mythic opens up the following week, so like if normal and heroic is that so the raid opens up 2 weeks after the expansion launch. So if that first week is normal and heroic, and then the following week is Mythic, they'll all have rank 3. If Mythic doesn't open up that following week, then they'll have rank 4. But say for me, who's a casual raider, I'll have a rank 2 legendary. For sure, I'll have a rank 2 legendary ready to go the first day of raid. I just don't see the point in waiting. Now, again, as I said, world first raiders are probably going to be somewhere here depending on how Mythic works. I think Mythic will open up the week after normal and heroic. I think that's how it usually works. So they'll be looking at about here. So, but I don't know. I guess it just depends on how you value the benefit of waiting.
Levels 1, 2, and 3 in the preceding weeks. Great news, especially for crafters, because yeah, it's already easy to imagine that in the first months of the expansion, especially in the first 4 weeks, The gold prices for the mats to craft the base items or the cost of the finished items themselves are going to be insane. And it's quite likely that crafting a legendary at each rank is going to be a significant gold investment, which is fine for me because I'm minted, obviously. But harder for players who, I don't know, just blew all the gold they had on a long boy and now basically have nothing? Regretting it yet, Tally?
A little bit, yeah.
Another thing which we brought up last episode, which has now been absolutely definitely confirmed, is that weapon drops in the Castle Nathria raid will have different appearances depending on your covenant. The reason for
That's
this
so
is pretty
cool.
obvious. Nathria is a very Revendreth themed raid, and
I like that.
obviously it's awesome for Venthyr players to be looting a whole bunch of cool gothic vampire things. But it would kind of, suck to be anyone in the other factions who has to try and make that stuff work with their new Maldraxxus armor or whatever. So instead, the weapons drop in the form of tokens, which can be taken back to your Covenant Hall and exchanged for the appropriate on-theme transmog-friendly item.
I'm down with the weapon tokens.
Totally really cool and neat and thoughtful, but what if I want a cool rapier to go with my Bastion suit, Blizz? What if I desperately need a bony razor sword to really finish off my Night Fae fairy set? Did you think of bone-loving Night Fae for 1 second when you were making this system, Blizz? Did the fawns who love bone cross your mind at all? I think this also pretty much confirms that there will not, as speculated in the community, be a raid in each Covenant zone over the course of Shadowlands. Because I really can't see Blizz coming up with 4 different looks for each weapon every raid. Far better to have the next one in, like, Brokerland or Helia's house, where we can all get the same stuff, I think. And speaking of stuff, there is some nice old stuff it looks like we'll be getting hold of in Shadowlands too. So far we've seen Everlasting Boneforged Axe, a recolor of Icecrown Citadel's Bryn Troll, the Bone Arbiter, and Sorrowbane, a recolor of Armageddon from Naxxramas. The Boneforged Axe can be straight up looted in Maldraxxus, but requires you have a Necrolord player with you to access the chest it's housed in. Getting Shadowbane is even trickier. It's embedded in the ground in the Theater of Pain dungeon, and players will need to run around the instance collecting multiple strength buffs with limited durations and have them all active to pull the sword from the stone. It's worth doing though, because it's a bind on account weapon on a par with Nyalothalu, which makes it great for leveling alts. Also, the Armageddon model is famously the biggest sword model in the game. Sorry, these days it's the second biggest. It's the biggest lootable sword model in the game.
What did you say?
Well,
you don't have time to say it. Don't say it because we don't have time for the chit chat, Evitel.
Okay.
We don't have time for the small talk.
Okay.
We don't have time for any of that because
Why is
we
that?
have got a huge competition to launch.
We do.
A competition to give stuff to you.
To you,
person
well,
at home.
to 4 of you.
And well, actually, we've got lots of giveaways going on at the moment because on Twitch, on our Twitch stream next week, we're going to give away, I want to say, 10 long boys.
2 long boys.
I'm pretty sure
One,
it's like
two, is
15.
No.
We're going to give away the gold for 2 long boys on stream next week, so come and join us there. That'll be fun. We'll tell you more about it and who's making that possible on Twitch. It's not a sponsorship, it's just like literally just cool
Just
people.
generosity.
Yeah,
from
it's
the
just
WoW
cool.
community.
Really
It's
nice
brilliant.
person. But this one is a giveaway in conjunction with an actual real life corporation.
HyperX. So-
HyperX! I love Hyper. I'm always, well, you know, Evitel knows I'm always talking about HyperX.
My microphone's
Or
HyperX.
whatever, or you know, just to the toilet or whatever. I'll give her a text and I'll be like, Evitel, you'll never guess what. I was just like looking at HyperX stuff online, and we should give it away.
Anyway, we are working with HyperX.
Such a
which is
nerd,
really,
man.
Really, really cool
I
because
love
they
it.
hooked us up with 4 kits.
Oh,
of
shit.
goodies that we are going to be giving away to 4 of you.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. I know something else that's got 4.
What's that?
The Covenants in Shadowlands.
Oh.
Hey, I've got a great idea for this competition. What we want you to do is, we want you to go into retail World of Warcraft, right? Don't cheat, go into beta, because we'll know, and you won't win. Going to go into retail World of Warcraft, where famously Shadowlands hasn't started yet. Don't know if
Exactly.
you knew that. And we want to
Exactly.
show your character in-game getting ready to join their Covenant of choice.
You can do this however you want. We're gonna let you be creative.
So it's got to be an in-game screenshot. You can alter it if you want. We're all about being creative is really good because that's how we allow competitions like this to run in places like Italy. where you can't just have like putting random names in their hat. There has to be like creative elements. So
that's gambling.
Congratulations, 12 people in Italy who play WoW and watch this
channel. Yeah.
You can now enter this competition.
Yeah.
Hooray! It is open worldwide. So get your picture of your character getting ready to join their covenant of choice. I don't know how you're gonna do that.
I don't know. Go somewhere. Wear
Don't
something.
give them ideas. Shh. Let them use their creativity.
Use your creative
Otherwise,
juices.
like
Get
the
them
Italian
flowing.
government will be like, "Well, you just did what Evitel said. That's not creative. Now you can't enter the
we'll be
competition."
banned.
Oh, okay, so when I pressed the button to launch this video, I also, if I remembered, pressed a button to launch the tweet that you have to reply to with your screenshot, okay?
Yes.
Because YouTube don't do personal messaging anymore, so we can't do it on YouTube. You have to go onto Twitter. Sorry, that means you have to follow us on Twitter. You have to reply to our tweet. It won't be the pinned one because that one's thanking our patrons.
Yeah, so...
But we will retweet it on a daily basis.
It'll
And the
be
link
there.
to that tweet is in the description of this video right here. So you can go there right now. If you want, watch the video first, wait till the advert plays out to the end. Then go and tweet the picture at us with hashtag the covenant that your character is getting ready to join.
That's right.
And anything else you want to write on there. I
Yeah,
don't
say
care.
hello.
Go
Whatever.
wild.
Whatever.
Like, the deadline for this competition is 11:59 and 59 seconds through 11:59 and 59 seconds on the 9th of October 2020. That's a Friday. Like the pre-patch might be out by then, but Shadowlands will not be. But you will be prepared for it when you win
You'll
our
be
competition.
so ready.
And Evitel will choose the winners depending on.
I love how he's all
their
leaned forward, like
preferences for which ones
you can hear him easier.
It's as simple
You know what pleases me?
as that.
Do it.
Don't do that.
Just good advice for life, really.
You'll probably get banned from Twitter if you do that. Don't listen to her. She's a bad lady.
So we are giving away 4 individual kits.
That's cool.
One for each covenant.
mention it's one
There's
for-
going to
one
be
for each
one
covenant.
winner from each covenant. So, like, you can enter all 4 covenants if you like.
Yeah, you can.
But there'll be like a Revendreth winner of people that did Revendreth pictures.
Yeah.
There'll be like a,
Yeah.
you know, the other 3.
Yeah, then whatever those are. 1 250 gigabyte SSD.
What? Hang on.
Pretty sweet.
An NVE PCI SSD?
Yeah.
That's
One of
amazing.
those. 1 HyperX Alloy Elite 2 keyboard, which glows.
Those are so
and
mechanical.
has amazing mechanical keys. Such a sick keyboard. Sick, bro. 1 HyperX Pulsefire.
Sorry, I
Raid
didn't know that I'd
mouse.
married a teenager. This is very exciting
Look, I'm
day
sorry,
for
this
me.
stuff really excites me.
Wow.
1 HyperX Pulsefire Raid mouse, which
That's
is
wireless!
Which is wireless. And also a headset. I don't remember which kind it is exactly, but it'll be in the tweet. We'll list everything in the tweet. We'll give you all the shiny pictures and specs and links and everything you want. That is the package
Wow.
you will be getting.
We're
if
so
you win.
generous.
I
I'm
mean,
getting a
we're
package from
extra
Taliesin and Evitel.
I mean, I am extra excited because HyperX
Potentially.
sent me Evitel,
Their package.
specifically, a ton of gear, which is so cool. Sorry, it's so sick. We're working on my setup.
It's so
We're
sick,
my
dude.
all my stuff, and so I am going to be kitted out with HyperX goodies too. We'll show you all that later once
Have
we
you got a
actually get
t-shirt?
around to that. No, but I do have a really cool T-shirt right now.
There you go.
Yay!
Nice.
Yeah, that's
So
the stuff.
thank you, HyperX, for
My
giving
t-shirt's
us
kind of cool.
stuff to give
It's
away.
just the Justice
Thank
League.
you for entering the competition and winning, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh,
I'm
you're
sorry
welcome.
That, the sound is it looks brilliant now. The room is still not quite ready, as you.
I don't know,
as
I
you
thought
could
the sound
obviously
wasn't
tell.
that bad. I
sound
thought the
is
sound.
I'm
Sorry,
really
guys.
sorry. Like I'm genuinely sorry. As you can tell, I'm really pissed off about it. And I am working really hard.
Yeah.
And next week will be perfecto. But if you did like this
Don't do
episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money.
Proof.
All of our work.
Proof.
Guys, seriously, thank you. Because without you.
See, I'm
we'd
subscribed, I got the
like
bell.
this Tweet and pin it on our Twitter, but we're
Yeah,
not going to because we
don't.
can keep your one thanking you
Yours
pinned
is always
instead
there, always
because you're
there.
worth it.
You are.
If you didn't like this episode, downvote the shit out.
Don't
of
do
it.
that, people.
My name is.
Don't do that.
Kingston. Kingston HyperX.
Wow.
Kingston
My name is
HyperX.
Taliesin from me, Taliesin,
And me, Evitel.
and me, Taliesin. Until next time, cheerio.
Okay, stop with the ads, please. For the love of God, stop with the ads. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. There was the current weekly reset with Taliesin and Evitel. It's unfortunate that we didn't get to see their skit. I think that's only like the second or third time since I've been watching them that's happened. That the video, whatever, got corrupted through a USB, but I'm sure it was amazing. Next week we'll get to see whatever they have in store. But yeah, guys, you guys should definitely enter both of their giveaways, both for the Long Boy. So what I will do is I will put the link to their stream on Twitch down in the description box below. That way you guys can go click there, hit the little heart in the upper right hand corner, follow their stream. That way you'll know anytime Taliesin goes live, and you guys can have a chance to win a Long Boy. Also, you guys should check them out on Twitter and enter the competition. Those HyperX sets are pretty sick, so you guys should definitely check this out. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the video down in the comment section below. Let me know if you're hyped or excited for Shadowlands, things you're worried about. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a great start to your week, and I hope it ends up being fantastic. I will be streaming maybe tonight or tomorrow night. You can see my stream in the upper left-hand corner, but there's a link down in the description box below you can click. Anyways, guys, again, thank you so much. I love you guys, and I will see you again later. Peace.